Now we've talked a lot about, or some about the issues that are important to you. When you are elected governor, what's on the to-do list immediately once taking office?
Well, healthcare is right up front. I mean, I think that we've got to begin drawing down these federal dollars. So I think at the beginning, the three things we'll be working on right at the front end are we're trying to expand our economy so we can get people back to work. It's just the economy doesn't move forward, and you and I and our friends and our neighbors are paying unemployment to people that want to work. So the bottom line is we got to get the economy going. We got to get healthcare costs under control. We got to cover kids, and then we got to make college affordable so that investment in the future that people make is not one that causes them to take an economic step backwards, but one that allows them to take an economic independent step forward. I think those three things will be that first year our focus.
All right, and I want to ask you a little bit about energy, and I know that's connected somewhat to economic growth, but how do you make Missouri energy independent as a state?
Sure. First of all, I've committed to say that we're going to, as a state, as governor, I'm going to make this Missouri an energy exporter. The focal point of that obviously comes from a couple of areas. Electricity, where we can look at the opportunities out there, both wind, solar, biofuels, and even looking at the possibility of nuclear if it can be done safely and effectively without consumers paying too much. We also can make huge gains when it comes to conservation and efficiency. It just makes absolutely little or no sense to continue to see all of the wasted energy that's out there when we have two state programs, our low-income energy assistance program as well as our weatherization programs operating in separate departments. They should get together, and instead of paying the bill for folks that need it each and every year over and over again, we ought to make sure that we're more efficient and effective with the homes and the businesses across the state. So I think on all those fronts, Missouri has a lot to do, and I look forward to being deeply involved in making our state energy independent.
I want to ask you, and you've talked a little bit about this, the differences between you and your opponent. Where do you and he fundamentally disagree?
Well, my opponent is part of the problem in Washington. I mean, he is as the Ways and Means Committee member, part of the architect of this economy that's melting down right around us. You couple that with his lack of desire to embrace science, being against stem cell research, makes it very difficult for us to attract the kind of investment, national investment and international investment dollars for scientific research that's important in a state like Missouri with our rich tradition of science to move forward. He's also embraced Governor Blunt's health care cuts, which I think are wrong-headed, turning down $1.5 billion. I think there are substantial and real differences between where Congressman Hulshof wants to take the state, wants to continue to take the state the way that I don't think we need somebody from Washington running Jeff City. I think we need a Missourian taking charge of the helm and getting the state moving forward again.
A lot of being governor is being able to work with the legislature and other members of the state. How will you be able to work across the aisle if Missouri remains a majority Republican or with fellow Democrats, depending on how the election goes?
That's a great question. I mean, I have a long history of working with folks, regardless of whether they ride an elephant or a donkey to work. You know, I think that one of the key hallmarks of my years of public service has been somebody that's reached across the aisle, both in my years in the legislature when I passed substantial legislation with both parties, or as Attorney General, which is in many ways a position that is nonpartisan in the sense of your core duties. I think that people that run for office, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, I assume they run for the right reasons. And I look forward to finding those connector points and working with. We got a lot of work to do in this state, and I'm certainly I'm going to require every state representative and every state senator that can help us with new ideas and better ways to move this economy forward to help me, regardless of whether they're Democrat or Republican. There's plenty of time for elections, but the people of the state of Missouri know that when the elections are over, we should serve all the people. That's what I've done in my 22 years of public service, and I expect that mentality will be a new mentality in Jeff City, not continuing. We certainly don't need to bring Washington-style politics to Jeff City where everything is hyper-partisan, that's for sure.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about today?
Just one other small item, which is campaign finance. My opponent has supported getting rid of the campaign contribution limits. He said he would sign the bill that Governor Matt Blunt signed that are allowing these $100,000, and today $1 million check came into one of the campaigns, $1.1 million check. The people of the state of Missouri passed with over 70% campaign finance reform. That was challenged in the courts. I personally took that case all the way to the Supreme Court, argued that case, won that case. I believe in campaign contribution limits. I think you should have a broad base of support out there. My opponent said he would sign the bill getting rid of limits. I'll present to the legislature a bill with reasonable limits in it so we can, instead of just seeing huge checks fly all over the place, we can require candidates once again to have a broad base of support to finance their campaigns. That's a stark difference between me and my opponent. We don't need to bring more of that Washington style unlimited money politics to Missouri. We need to make politicians accountable to everyone, not just a few that can write huge checks.
Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you.